Assalamu alaikum and a warm welcome to all my dear students. I am delighted to teach you the first lesson from your supplementary reader, and I hope you are equally excited to listen to it. First, let me tell you about the author of the story. Ruskin Bond is one of India's best loved storytellers. He has spent most of his life in Dehradun and loves writing about the hills, his childhood and the different animals he has known. Some of his popular works are The Room on the Roof and Our Trees Still Grow in Dehra. The Elephant and the Cassowary Bird is one of his many stories about an unusual pet. Bond now lives in Landore, Missouri. This lesson is basically a narrative essay. A narrative essay is a type of essay that has a central idea around which the narrative revolves. The central idea in this narrative is that the animals in the wild learn how to respect one another. This essay provides a window to an experience from which we learn to respect the live and let live policy among animals in the wild. The narrator in this essay tells us about his grandfather's pets, a baby elephant and a cassowary. Before reading the lesson, let me ask you a question. Have you ever wondered why do people keep pets? Well, the answer to this question is some people find animals attractive. No matter what kind of animal it is, we can always find an interesting characteristic. Birds sing, dogs and cats are playful and funny, and there are animals that look uncommon. Preventing boredom is another important reason to keep pets. Whether it's the fish, a turtle, a bird or a rabbit, a pet simply makes life better. Now, let me read the narrative. The Elephant and the Cassowary Bird. One of grandfather's pets was a baby elephant. It wasn't out of place in our home in North India because India is where elephants belong. And in any case, our house was full of pets brought home by grandfather who was in the forest service. But the cassowary bird was different. No one had ever seen such a bird before. Not in India, that is. Grandfather had picked it up on a journey to Singapore, where he had been given the bird by the manager of a rubber farm, who had got it from a Dutch trader, who had got it from a man in Indonesia. Anyway, it ended up at our home in Dehra and seemed to do quite well in the subtropical climate. It looked similar to both a turkey and an ostrich, but it was bigger than the first and smaller than the second, about 5 feet in height. It was not a particularly beautiful bird or even a friendly one. However, it had come to stay and everyone was curious about it, especially the baby elephant. The narrator doesn't consider the baby elephant as a strange pet in his grandfather's house, as his grandfather was in the forest service, and also, as we all know, India is a home to elephants. So he did not think it is strange to have a baby elephant as a pet in their house. However, he considered the cassowary bird to be different and strange, as no one had ever seen such a bird before. It had travelled from Indonesia and Singapore to reach his grandfather's house in Dehradun, which seemed to do quite well in subtropical climate. Subtropical climate means hot and humid summers and mild winters. The narrator also describes the bird as about 5 feet in height, bigger than a turkey and smaller than an ostrich. Why do you think he has used this comparison? He has used this comparison to help us get a visual image of the cassowary, since the three birds are similar in appearance. And he also said in this paragraph that the elephant was very curious to know about the cassowary bird, along with everyone else. The main characters introduced here are the baby elephant and cassowary. The setting is the narrator's grandfather's house, Dehradun in North India. Let us begin the next paragraph. Right from the start, the baby elephant took great interest in the cassowary. He would circle round the new creature and shyly examine its short and thick wings with his trunk. Of course, he expected no danger. His childlike curiosity made him act bravely. A little too bravely, perhaps, for one day it resulted in an unpleasant experience. So you can see here that right from the beginning, the baby elephant took great interest in cassowary. He would do so by circling around the new creature, by shyly examining its wings, and his childlike curiosity made him act bravely. Why do you think so? The narrator has used this word bravely because the narrator clearly knew that the baby elephant would not get a good response from the cassowary bird. And in fact, in the last line of this paragraph, he has said that perhaps it resulted in an unpleasant experience. What could the unpleasant experience be? To know this, let us read the next paragraph. Noticing how the baby elephant tried to make friends with the silent and serious cassowary, they felt a bit worried. The big bird would respond to the elephant's attentions by slowly and slyly raising one of its powerful legs, all the while gazing into space with an innocent air. We knew what it meant. We had seen the dangerous leg raised on other occasions and suddenly shooting out with a great force, like that of an angry camel. In fact, camels and cassowaries kick in a similar manner, except that the camel kicks backward like a horse and the bird forward. Explanation. We in this paragraph refers to the narrator's family. They were worried that in response to the elephant's attention, the bird would respond in an unfriendly way. The narrator had seen the bird raising its leg on other occasions and then delivering a kick with great force. The narrator did not want the elephant to get a similar kick. Now let us read the next paragraph. We wish to save our baby elephant from a painful experience and led him away from the bird. But he continued with his friendly gestures, and one morning he received an ugly reward. Rapid as lightning, the cassowary hit him straight from the hip and knee joints, and the elephant ran squealing to grandfather. Explanation. The narrator tries to save the elephant and leads him away from the cassowary bird, but the elephant continues with his friendly gestures. Gestures means actions that express certain feelings. The elephant was trying to be friendly with the cassowary bird, but in return he gets an ugly reward. Why is the speaker using an unusual combination of words, ugly and reward together? Reward is something which you get as a token of appreciation, as a gift. But he is describing the word reward as ugly. He has used the word ugly because in turn to his friendship, he has got a kick from the cassowary bird. The reward was very painful and shocking to the elephant. What does the phrase rapid as lightning mean? Have you ever seen that martial arts expert? They throw those kicks as rapid as lightning. Likewise, the cassowary's kick was very fast, because of which the elephant ran squealing to grandfather. Squealing means crying in high pitch. Let us proceed with the next paragraph. For several days after that he avoided the cassowary, and we thought he had learned his lesson. He crossed and recrossed the compound and the garden, swinging his trunk, thinking furiously. Then a week later, he appeared on the veranda at breakfast time in his usual cheerful, childlike fashion, walking up quietly to the cassowary as if nothing had happened. What can the elephant be thinking furiously? What do you mean by furiously? Furiously means extremely angry. Do you think The elephant was happy with what the cassowary has done? No. The elephant was extremely angry and it wanted to take a revenge. And how do you think the cassowary is feeling at this time? The cassowary might be feeling very happy as it got rid of the baby elephant. Next paragraph. We were amazed at this, and so it seemed was the bird. Had the painful lesson already been forgotten, and that too by a member of the elephant tribe, which is known for its ability to remember? Perhaps another dose of the same medicine would teach the elephant. Explanation. The narrator's family was amazed seeing the elephant's actions. They were shocked and were thinking whether he has forgotten the painful experience. They did not expect this from a member of the elephant tribe. Why do you think the narrator has said this? He said this because elephants have fabulous memories, and this is one of the things that make them so special. Do you know? An elephant's brain can weigh up to 5 kilograms, larger than any other land animal. It helps them store that amazing memory. The narrator thought that the baby elephant needed another dose of the same medicine, meaning he may need the same ugly reward again. Let us proceed further. Once more, the cassowary began to draw up its fighting leg. It was getting near the correct position for the master kick, kung fu style, when all of a sudden the baby elephant seized the other leg of the cassowary with its trunk and pulled it down. Explanation. The elephant went to the cassowary as if it had forgotten how badly the bird has rejected its attempt at friendship. The cassowary looked like a stern kung fu warrior, ready to fight a trusting opponent in a kung fu style. What do you mean by kung fu? Kung fu is a Chinese system of fighting without weapons. Here, the elephant developed as a hero. It pulled the cassowary's leg with its trunk and toppled it to show it is in the control of the situation. The elephant, from being a victim, becomes the victor. The elephant had managed to get his revenge and make the bird fall down. Coming to the last paragraph of the lesson, there was a clumsy flapping of wings, a huge swelling of the bird's wattle, and then it got up, looking rather foolish. The bird then marched off, trying to look stately and unconcerned, while we at the breakfast table rolled with laughter. After this, the cassowary bird stayed as far away from the baby elephant as possible. So, after the defeat and tit for tat, the bird flapped its wings clumsily, swelling its wattle, and got up, looking rather foolish. For some moments the bird looked clumsy, foolish, shocked, and it wanted to look dignified again. So it tried to act as if nothing had happened and tried to maintain its usual stately and unconcerned attitude. What do you mean by stately and unconcerned attitude? Grand and undisturbed. The bird was trying to act as if nothing had happened, while the narrator and his family rolled with laughter at the breakfast table. After this, never the cassowary bird tried to come near the baby elephant, and it stayed as far away as possible from the... Dear students, hope you liked the humorous text and enjoyed its surprise ending. Now let me read out the summary of this lesson. The narrator in this essay tells us about his grandfather's pets, a baby elephant and a cassowary. The elephant was not an unusual pet in their house in Dehradun in North India, since the grandfather was in the forest service and India is known for its elephants. But the cassowary was a strange pet, a gift from the manager of a rubber farm in Singapore. He had got it from a Dutch trader who had got it from someone in Indonesia. It had settled down quite comfortably in the Indian climate. It was bigger than a turkey and smaller than an ostrich. measuring around 5 feet in height. The cassowary was not friendly, but like everyone else in the family, the elephant was curious. Unaware of danger, it nosed about the bird with its trunk with childlike curiosity. But the family was worried. Whenever the cassowary responded by raising a leg while looking innocently ahead, they knew it could strike really hard by kicking forward. And one day, the angry bird kicked the curious baby elephant so hard that it ran to the grandfather, squealing in pain. For many days after that, the elephant kept to itself, leading the family to think it had learnt its lesson. But one day, during breakfast, it went over to the cassowary as if he had forgotten the painful incident. The family was surprised. So was the bird, as it lifted a leg to get ready to kick. Suddenly, the elephant tugged at the other leg, planted firmly on the ground. The bird lost face, it fell, got up, and walked away to wild laughter from the family. And it stayed far away from the elephant from that day onwards. Dear students, in this slide you will find vocabulary, word meanings, and frame sentences. You need to take a fresh page in your English notebook, write the heading as the elephant and the cassowary bird, and write down these exercises. The hard words should be written for 2 times. And then you will go to the word meaning section. You will write the word meanings and learn it by heart. And the next comes the frame sentences. The sentences are given as an example for you all. You can also write the sentences of your own choice using the words given for the same exercise. Now, let me read out the vocabulary words for you. Kindly take note of the pronunciation of the words. First, Singapore. Singapore. Second, Indonesia. Indonesia. Third, curiosity. Curiosity. Fourth, especially. Especially. Fifth, unpleasant. Unpleasant. Sixth, occasion. Occasion. Seventh, slyly. Slyly. Eighth, gesture. Gesture. Ninth, squealing. Squealing. 10th, wattle. Wattle. 11th, unconcerned. Unconcerned. And the last one goes furiously. Furiously. Now, let me read out the question and answers for you all. First question, how was the cassowary bird a stranger pet than the baby elephant? The answer is, the cassowary bird was a stranger pet than the baby elephant because in India, cassowary birds are not as common as elephants. This cassowary bird had come to grandfather after passing through many hands and many places. The second question, how did the baby elephant feel about the cassowary? How did he behave with it? Answer, the baby elephant felt very curious about the cassowary bird. He took a great interest in it. He would circle around the bird, examining its wings with his trunk. Even though the speaker led him away from the bird, he continued with his friendly gestures. Third question, what did the speaker feel worried about? Why? Answer, the speaker felt worried about the elephant. In response to the elephant's attentions, the bird would raise one of its legs slowly and slyly. The speaker had seen the bird raising its leg on other occasions and delivering a kick with great force. The speaker did not want the elephant to get a similar kick. Dear students, this slide contains question and answers for this lesson. You will read it carefully and write it down in your notebook with neat handwriting and learn it by heart. Fourth question. One morning he received an ugly reward. What was the ugly reward? Why does the speaker use this unusual combination of words to describe the incident? Answer. The ugly reward was the painful kick the baby elephant received from the cassowary. The speaker uses this unusual combination of words because he wants to emphasize that the baby elephant got the kick as a reward for his friendly gestures towards the bird. Since the reward was painful and shocking, it has been called ugly. Fifth question. The bird then marched off, trying to look stately and unconcerned. A. What had happened just before this? B. Why does the speaker say that the bird was trying to look stately and unconcerned? This question has been divided into two parts, A and B. The answer for A bit is, just before this, the bird had raised one of its legs, planning to kick the elephant again. However, this time the elephant caught hold of the cassowary's other leg with his trunk and pulled it down. The answer for B bit is, the speaker says that the bird was trying to look stately and unconcerned as it tried to act as if nothing had happened when the elephant had managed to make the bird fall down. Dear students, this slide contains using words exercise from this lesson, page number 8 of your supplementary reader. The question is, match each of these phrases from the text with the correct meanings. Phrases are the group of words standing together as a conceptual unit. The first phrase given to you is option A, out of place. Out of place means too different from others. The second phrase is rapid as lightning. Rapid as lightning means very fast. Option C, learned his lesson. Learned his lesson means understood something important from an unpleasant experience. Option D, thinking furiously. Thinking furiously means thinking very hard. Option E, dose of the same medicine. Dose of the same medicine means another round of the same punishment. You need to write the answers of this exercise in the supplementary reader, page number 8. With this, we finish the first lesson of your supplementary reader. Dear students, kindly cultivate the habit of reading every day. Hope you all have understood the lesson thoroughly. Thanks for your kind cooperation. Stay tuned for the next lesson.